So Prabhupada said, $180, yes, we can do it. And then Prabhupada had Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. So he gave it to this owner. And Prabhupada signed it. Prabhupada did not even ask whether the owner wanted or not. Prabhupada naturally gave. So this owner who was there, he gave the book back. Prabhupada said, no, no, keep it, keep it. Now imagine, he has no frame of reference what Bhagavatam is. He has no idea who Krishna is. And then on top of that, first canto Bhagavatam, creation and all the technical aspects. Even for seasoned devotees, sometimes it's a bouncer. So Prabhupada gave, he said, no, Prabhupada again pushed it into his hand. He said, you keep it. So started flipping pages. And then Prabhupada said, you see, Mr. Michael, he is a trustee of our movement. Movement is not even established till now. Not even registered. But Prabhupada's vision is so far-sighted, he was confident. When Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada said, it's only time that is separating. I can see the reality. It's only time that is separating. So Prabhupada gave this book and Prabhupada said, this Mr. Michael is a trustee in our movement. Why don't you also become trustee? He is telling the owner of the storefront. So the owner looked. First of all, he has no idea what ISKCON is. He has no idea who Krishna is. No idea of Bhagavatam. And now Prabhupada is saying you become trustee. Become trustee of a movement of which you have no clue. So he says, I think one trustee is good enough. So Prabhupada said, no, you can also become trustee. So he says, okay. Prabhupada had this amazing skill of convincing. So he said, okay. Now first time he's meeting Prabhupada and Prabhupada has made him trustee of ISKCON. We find it difficult to make one devotee. Prabhupada has made this person trustee of the movement. Yadi Prabhupada na hoi to, trustee na hoi to. Prabhupada made him the trustee. And now look at Prabhupada's master stroke. Prabhupada says, in our movement, trustees pay a $20 subscription fee. Mr. Michael, do you pay? Mr. Michael says, yes. Yes, Prabhupada, I pay. Now Prabhupada looks at the owner. The owner has no idea. He said, Swamiji, I will also pay. He gets Bhagavatam, signed Bhagavatam, made the trustee, and now Prabhupada has convinced him to give $20 subscription fee. And now Prabhupada says, well, if anyway you are giving $20 subscription fee, deduct it from the $180 rent. Bring it down. So he said, okay. And Prabhupada convinced him and he got the rent down. And the next day he told Mukunda Maharaj, you go to the PSE. Of course, those days I think it was called something else. I couldn't catch it when Mukunda Maharaj was saying. But the essence was PSE or PSEG, whatever you call. What do you call here? The electricity bill? OEP. Okay. So I think the West Coast you call it PSE. Power Supply and Electric something. So Prabhupada asked him to go to that department. And Prabhupada said, go and tell them to waive off our deposit. Go and tell them it's a charitable organization. Our deposit should be waived off. So Mukunda Maharaj, he says, okay. And he goes to this department and he tells them, it is a charitable organization. Can you please waive off our deposit? When you enter a house, you normally give deposit. So he tells this person, and he says, can you waive off? He says, it doesn't work this way. Like, you may be a charitable organization, but this is America and it may work probably in your India. It doesn't work here. So Mukunda Maharaj says, okay. And he comes back and tells Prabhupada, didn't work out. Kaam nahi bana. Prabhupada looks at him and says, probably you wouldn't negotiate well. You should learn it. Gurudev will teach you. So Prabhupada next day decided to go. And dear devotees, Prabhupada went there, convinced him, waived off the deposit for 26 Second Avenue electricity bill and also gave a Bhagavatam signed copy to him. Amazing preaching. Amazing preaching. We know how difficult it is to preach to one person. And here, owner of the storefront is now a trustee. He is giving subscription. And now the person who is there in this department, electricity department, he is getting signed copy of Bhagavatam. And now Srila Prabhupada has convinced him to waive off the deposit also. That is how in the initial days, Prabhupada got the rent down for 26 Second Avenue when the electricity was completely free. So devotee, Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Krishna Bhakta Ei Bada Chatur. Devotees of the Lord are very intelligent. If anything can be used properly for Krishna service and if negotiation can work, we don't want to misuse. If by negotiation, if something can be got down, we use that. So why are we saying this? We were mentioning about how the Supreme Lord Sri Ram negotiated or struck a deal with Sugriv that you help me, I will also help you. And likewise, Prabhupada, he struck a deal, he negotiated and got his things done. And so many Prabhupada pastimes are so sweet, so sweet. So many pastimes like that. And Prabhupada had a very interesting humor. One time when Prabhupada landed in London, Prabhupada's London pastimes are very interesting. Prabhupada landed in London, and naturally, the reporters they started mobbing. The mics were there because they had never seen someone shaven head, shikha, stick, sannyas danda, or a saffron. This was like a culture shock for them. So the reporters they came to Prabhupada and they asked various questions. And one of the questions they asked was, Swamiji, how do you define hell? Now you don't have that much time to speak fifth canto Bhagavatam. You have only 30 seconds. They asked, Swamiji, how do you define hell? And you know what Prabhupada said? Very coolly, very calmly. Prabhupada said, hell? Oh, it is cold, dark and gloomy, just like your London. It is cold, dark and gloomy, just like your London. Of course, Prabhupada could say this. He had some instantaneous humor. So here, Sri Ram struck this deal with Sugriv. And Sri Ram told Sugriv that, my dear Sugriv, you please go and challenge Vali. Now this is the last few minutes. Go and challenge Vali for a fight. Sugriv said, my dear Lord, you know how powerful Vali is. I told you how he killed demons. You want me to go and challenge? Sri Ram said, yes, you go and challenge him. I will stand behind the tree and I will support you. So he says, okay. Sugriv goes and challenges Vali. Hey Vali, come out! I am here for a fight. Vali hears this from inside. Vali looks at his wife and says, is this guy drunk? He's challenging me. He knows what I've done in the past and how powerful I am, and he has the audacity to come outside my kingdom, Kishkinda, and he's challenging me for a fight. Sab theek hai? It seems like this guy is not in his senses. Vali comes out and Sugriv is waiting for a fight. Vali comes and starts bashing Sugriv left and right, black and blue. His complexion became like Shyam Sundar. From a monkey, his complexion became like Shyam Sundar, bluish black. And Sri Ram is standing behind the tree and is clapping. Vali is punching Sugriv and Sri Ram is clapping. He has kept the bow and arrow to the ground and he's clapping. Sugriv came back and he looked at the Lord and said, my dear Lord, what is this? So Sri Ram looked and said, you are Sugriv? He said, what do you mean you are Sugriv? I pura Ramayana Mahabharat suna diya and you're not able to recognize me? Sri Ram said, oh, both brothers look same. I got confused. I thought Sugriv is hitting Vali, so I kept my bow and arrow down to the ground and I was clapping. When Sugriv heard, he said, my dear Lord, you were clapping here, he was clapping on my face. He was punching me blue and black. My dear Lord, what is this? I told you so much and now you are not even protecting me. Sri Ram said, Galti ho gaya, mistake. Let's do one thing. For identification, let's do one thing. He called Lakshman. And Lakshman offered a garland to Sugriv. He offered a garland to Sugriv. And now it was very clear for Sri Ram. The one with the garland is Sugriv. And one without the garland is Vali. He offered the garland and now Sugriv again went. And he again challenged, hey Vali, come out! Now Vali thought, what has happened to him? I just punched him. His eyes have become like Jagannath. And still he doesn't understand. He's challenging me. What has happened to him? What has happened? Wali's wife, Tara, she wants. I have heard Sri Ram is in Kishkinda, and he is the son of Dasharath Maharaj, who is very powerful. And I've also heard he's not different from Vishnu. So Sugriv may have the backing of Vishnu. You don't want to challenge. If he's coming and challenging you again, which means he has some Shakti which you're not able to see. Wife is telling the husband, my dear Bali, I warn you, don't go and fight him this time. He has Sri Ram by his side, and that's why he's so confident. Bali says, even if he has Sri Ram by his side, I have not done anything wrong to Sri Ram. I don't have anything, I don't have any enmity with Sri Ram. So why will Sri Ram do anything to me? Wali still decides to go. Even though he was warned, he still decides to go. And now when he comes out, Sri Ram is waiting for him behind the tree. Very royally, very charismatic, very dynamic. Sri Ram is waiting behind the tree. And the moment Wali comes out and Wali and Sugriv start fighting, Sri Ram picks up his arrow, chants his mantra, he shoots. And the arrow goes inside out of Wali. And that Wali who was so powerful, who could pick up Dundubi and just whirl him around with one arrow of Dasharath Maharaj inside out, he was down to the ground. He was down to the ground, and Sri Ram now came from behind the tree. He looked at Sri Ram and said, my dear Sri Ram, what wrong did I do to you? My enmity is there with my brother, and we are fighting. Why did you come in between? What wrong did I do to you? And why are you shooting arrow behind a tree? You're a Kshatriya. It doesn't look good for a Kshatriya to shoot arrows behind a tree. What is the reason? Why are you shooting arrows behind a tree? Sri Ram said, well, you kidnapped the wife of your younger brother, Sugriv. So because the whole area comes under Ikshvaku. In Ikshvaku's dynasty is Maharaj Dasharath. So being Dasharath Maharaj's son, I am the prince, and you being the citizen, you have not followed the dharma for a citizen. And I being the future king, I have full adhikar to punish you. So Bali says, Acha, but these rules of not kidnapping one's of brother's wife or whatever, these rules are applicable for human beings. I am a monkey. He put his trump card. He said, my dear Lord, for monkeys, these things are not applicable. For human beings, these things are applicable, but I am a monkey. So why are you still shooting me behind a tree? Sri Ram said, Acha, if you call yourself a citizen and you kidnap the wife of your younger brother, then I, being the future king, I have full adhikar to give you punishment and chastise you. But if you say you are a monkey, then let me tell you, I am that hunter. And hunter always shoots behind a tree. Hunter always shoots behind a tree. So either which ways, Wali, you had to die. So when Wali heard this, he was convinced. And Wali had a locket, which was given to him by Indra. And the locket was such, Indra had blessed it such that till the time he has that locket, he cannot die. He cannot die. So now the arrow had gone inside out, but because of the locket, he was still alive. But when he saw the moonlight face of Maryada Purushottam Ramchandra, just like Bhishma Dev in the departure bed sees the face of Sri Krishna and is completely satisfied. Triptosmi. Likewise, Wali in the departure bed sees the beautiful form of Sri Ram, beautiful form of Sri Lakshman. And he removes the necklace and he could have given it to his son Angad. But he removes that necklace and gives it to his brother Sugriv and says, my dear Sugriv, I now realize I did very bad with you. I kicked you out from the kingdom. I took your wife away. Now that Sri Ram has told me, now I realize whatever I did was very wrong. Let this be my prayaschitta, my dear Sugriv. I am giving this to you. Please take it. He gave it to Sugriv. And at that time, one Vanara, one monkey by the name Neel, he came and he removed the arrow from the chest of Wali. And when he removed the arrow from the chest of Wali, the arrow read, Dasharath Nandan Sri Ram. Sri Ram had a customized arrow. Dasharath Nandan Sri Ram. And when Bali saw that arrow, he left this world. So beautifully, Valmiki Ramayana describes this Kishkinda. Of course, whatever we discussed was just one small portion. After this, also many more incidents happen. But in the interest of time, I very humbly want to stop here. मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम रामचंद्र भगवान की, श्री किष्किंधा कांड की, श्री सुग्रीव की, Bali's transformation ki, Srila Prabhupada who gave all this to all of us ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Arjuna Sakha Prabhu ki.
Huh?
If any comments or questions, this is the time you can ask.
Nice.
So I'll keep. Yeah, I'll keep it short and quick. So, yeah, well, first of all,
thank you for such an amazing pastime, sharing this pastime. It felt like you were there watching it live. So thank you for that.
Sugriv side or Wali side?
Lakshman side. But one very wonderful point that you made, it really stuck with me, was that when the prayers become routine, miracles become lifestyle. So whenever, personally for me, when things become routine, it also becomes mechanical. So if prayer becomes mechanical, then slowly you lose that the power of prayers also, right? You don't think, you take things for granted, and same things for prayers also. So how to keep it in our routine, but at the same time not let it become mechanical.
Oftentimes in the Shastra we find there are so many prayers that come. Dhruva Stuti, Prahlad Stuti, Bhishma Stuti, prayers of Rukmini, prayers of Vritrasur, prayers of the Braja Gopis, so many prayers that come. These prayers are very, very important, not to be skipped. Why? Because when we chant these prayers, we are reminding the Supreme Lord of his pure devotee, the person who chanted. Like for example, Prahlad Stuti. If you are chanting a verse that Prahlad Maharaj chanted, we may not mean it, but by chanting that verse, we are reminding the Supreme Lord of his pure devotee Prahlad Maharaj. And this is like a bonus point, or bolte na, makhan lagana. We have probably no qualification, but we are trying to approach him through his pure Vaishnava, Prahlad, or through Dhruva, or through Rukmini, or through the Braja Gopis, whoever that may be. As far as the prayers being mechanical are concerned, it's always good to start off somewhere. Rather than not chanting prayers, it's good to start off somewhere. Even the prayers may be mechanical at the start, it's good to start, but at the same time, to have the prayer heartfelt or to mean what we are saying, it is very, very important to associate with those devotees who are living that lifestyle. Without association of Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukte Stamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. 5.5 to Srimad Bhagavatam explains that Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes. By serving those who are very, very superior, the essence of the Shastra is imported into our hearts. Tamal Krishna Maharaj explains that because he was a servant of Prabhupada, he never got time to read Bhagavatam because it was a very demanding service to be Prabhupada's servant. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj explains just by being 10 minutes with Prabhupada, one could get the whole import of Srimad Bhagavatam in the heart. Whatever it would take to read the whole Bhagavatam, how many years, just by being with Prabhupada for about 10-15 minutes, you get the whole import. So to understand the essence of Shastra, or to understand the essence of verses, and to make sure it is not mechanical, we have to be around those devotees who are chanting the verses in the right spirit. Those devotees who are chanting the verses heartfelt. If we are all by ourselves, eventually the car is going to have a breakdown. Ekakiya mar nahi paya bal hari nama sankirtane. If we are alone with no superior over us, it is very difficult to make progress. We may convince ourselves by saying that yes, I am making advancement, but really without a superior, it's very difficult to make advancement. And oftentimes in our movement, the Diksha Guru is always traveling. So it's always good to have a Siksha Guru who is very, very advanced. Someone who is on the same level as that of Diksha Guru. Someone whom we can access very easily. Shiksha Guru te janiye Krishnera Swarup Antaryami Bhakta Sreshta E Duru. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains Shiksha Guru is not different from Shri Krishna himself. And it is must to have a Shiksha Guru in our life. Who is that person who's going to twist our ear? Because in ISKCON, reality, if you see, Diksha Gurus are always traveling. It's very difficult to have one-on-one association. तो कौन बोलेगा कि ये गलत है, ऐसा मत करो, कार्तिक आ रहा है, पुरुषोत्तम आ रहा है, अब ये पढ़िए, ये मत पढ़िए, ये अष्टकम गाइए, ये मत गाइए. Who is that person who's going to train or mold our mind? Hearing class is wonderful, but it's always good to have someone who's around us who can give personal instruction. And by staying around those who are mahat or those who are very advanced, naturally we imbibe their mood. And when we start imbibing their mood, whatever comes out is heartfelt and not mechanical. It is mechanical only when there is no realization in the heart. When there is realization in the heart, it is no longer mechanical. If suppose Krishna takes away everything from us, just imagine if Krishna takes everything, whatever we have, Krishna takes away everything. Our house, our car, our family members, he takes away everything. Will the prayer still be mechanical or will it be heartfelt? Will we struggle for tears or will it flow? It will flow. Which means it's not that we cannot cry for Krishna. It's not that we are incapable of chanting heartfelt prayers. We can. When the situation comes, we can. But it's not that Krishna is always going to give that situation. Krishna also wants to see how much this devotee is endeavoring to want me. We have thoda haath pair marna padega. We have to put some effort and tell Krishna that, my dear Lord, I don't know where your pure Vaishnavas are. I have got my Diksha Gurudev in my life, but it's very difficult for me to access him on a daily basis. So you please tell me where I can find someone who is as superior as my Diksha Gurudev. And in fact, we can go and ask this to our Diksha Gurudev himself, that it's difficult to have your access constantly. So do you have a suggestion with whom I can associate constantly, where I can imbibe your mood? Every guru in our movement, we find they have one particular mood of ISKCON. Prabhupada is like a rainbow who has different moods. And every disciple has got one particular mood that you will find. If it's Ayendra Prabhu, it's Nam Sankirtan. If it's Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, it is scientific preaching. If it is Srila Radha Govinda Maharaj, it is Bhagavatam. You see, if it is Srila Radhanath Maharaj, the mood of humility or the depth of the pastimes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which he narrates. Everyone has got one mood of Prabhupada which they have taken, and only they have it. So, to understand what our Gurudev has and what he's coming down to give, we have to look out for those who have that same mode. By associating with them, naturally prayers can be heartfelt. By being around those who are realized, our heart naturally is drenched with realizations. Without realization, without experiential knowledge, prayers can never be heartfelt. It will always be mechanical. It will always be mechanical. There is a reason why Kunti Devi says, Vipadam Tantuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. My dear Lord, please give me more obstacles. Because if everything is picture perfect, there is no impetus for me to chant. But if you give problems in my life, there is something for me to come to you and cry. So the essence or the gist would be to intensely pray and to seek out a Siksha Guru in our life who has the same mood, same heart, same aim and objective as that of our Diksha Guru, and who is self-realized, who's realized or very, very advanced. And staying around him, by being under his anugatya, we can drench our heart, we can whet our appetite with realizations, and then the prayers will be heartfelt. Those are a few thoughts to arrange. Anything else? Yes.
So, we've heard the story about Ram helping Sugriva.
After he got the kingdom back,
So I think that Sugriva became a little bit intoxicated. But he was associating with Lord Ram, he was associating with his devotees in the form of Hanuman and Lakshman. What did Sugriva do wrong to be intoxicated by his opulence?
Sugriva was
So Prabhuji's question was, we mentioned about association. After whatever we discussed in the past time, we find that after Vali is killed, Sugriva becomes very intoxicated and he forgets his promise to Sri Ram, as if he had never given a promise. So Prabhuji was asking, if he was associating with Hanuman, then how is it that he forget, or how is it that there was a disconnect there? In Sugriv's instance, we find Sugriv had done one aparad, because of which he got chastised even by Vali, and because of which momentarily he was away from the Supreme Lord. When Sri Ram and Lakshman came to Kishkinda, to Rishimukha mountains for the first time, Hanuman welcomed them. And later when Sugriva came, Sugriva offered a seat to Sri Ram but neglected Lakshman. When you do Guru Aparad, when you don't respect Lakshman, who is Gurudev himself, it's very difficult to get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So when Sri Ram and Lakshman came, Ram was respected. He was given a seat. He was offered a garland, but Lakshman was standing. Lakshman didn't take it as an offense. But for the Supreme Lord, when his eternal associate, Gurudev, whom Lakshman signifies, if he is neglected or if he is insulted, how much ever devotee association we have, we will still not be able to make progress. The only person who can forgive us is Gurudev. This is why in the past time, in the first time when they go to fight each other, Sugriv gets punched blue and black. And the next time, Sri Ram tells Lakshman, my dear Lakshman, please offer him a garland, which is like Lakshman showering his mercy that I have forgiven you, and this is my garland. When that mercy was showered, now Sri Ram comes to protect. But because of that aparad, he got punched, and in that 4 months of Chaturmas, he was intoxicated and he was away from the Supreme Lord. Too much of anything Shastra explains is never good. Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri Edamana Madhapuman Naivar Hatya Vidhatun Vai Tvamakinchana Gochara. Too much of these 4 things can make the mind go mad. Janma, aristocratic birth. Aishwarya, too much opulence, beauty. Janma opulence primarily. Janma Aishwarya Shruta, education, very, very qualified. And Shri, beauty or wealth. Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri Edamana Madhapuman. It can go make the mind go mad. Too much of wealth, too much of aristocratic environment, too much of high class education. Oftentimes it is seen, if this is there too much, then we don't respect the other person. And naturally, even though we may have everything around us, people may not surround us because no one wants to be around those who is puffed up or pompous. Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri, Edamana Madhapuman, Naiva Hatya Vidhatun Vai, Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Kunti Maharani says, my dear Lord, if someone has these 4 personalities in abundance, it's very difficult for them to get you. Why? Because there is no impetus. अगर सब कुछ है तो मैं भगवान के पास जाऊं ही क्यों? If I don't have something, will I want to go? If I have the best of house, best of cars, best of wealth, and everything is there, there's no impetus. So sometimes when the Lord gives problems, it is up for our own good. It only means He's looking at us. He wants us to come back. So on purpose, you see, if a dog is there in the street, you throw a stone at the dog will just bark and he will run away. You throw a stone, you throw a pebble at a human being, he will look around and he will ask you, why did you do that? Right? A dog will not do that. A human being will have the WH question, why did you do that? Likewise, sometimes the Supreme Lord throws these pebbles in our life when things go off. We plan something and there are complete reversals. It's only to throw a stone and tell us that your job is to come back to me. But seems like in this material world you have gone astray. Pattar maar ke aao mere paas wapas. Think about me. I am putting this calamity so that this can be an impetus for you to remember me. So, Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shri Edamana madhapuman naiva rahatya bidhatun vai tvam akinchana gochara. Kunti Maharani says, my dear Lord, only that person who's akinchana gochara, nishkinchan, who has practically nothing in this world, who has given up everything. Even if he has, he's only using it for Krishna. My dear Lord, only such a person can get you. Those who are akinchan or nishkinchan. Prabhupada had one god brother, Akinchan Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj. Srila Radhanand Maharaj in one class was saying that he learned the basic mridanga beats from Srila Akinchan Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj. So Akinchan and Nishkinchan. So that's the understanding. Because of the garland, which was not offered, there was Guru Aparad. And then eventually that he got punished from Bali. And then within the 4 months of Chaturmas, because there was Guru Aparad, he was alive. Okay? Anything else?
Related to the class, but just want to have your perspective on this. Like in the initial stage of practicing Krishna consciousness, when we are just into very neophyte stage, and during that time we are not completely devoid of desires. Like our desires keep haunting us, and sometimes like those are so strong that we want God, like through our prayers, we want God to reciprocate to those desires, but uh, somehow like God is not reciprocating in a way that we want those desires to be reciprocated. And during that time it just so happened that even our faith becomes questionable, like, and that becomes like a hindrance to even further progress to the next step, to take our bhakti to the next level. What do you have to say about this, like how
When there is a small child and the child has a mother,
If suppose the child is a 10-year-old and he tells the mother that, can you give me some money? I want to go to the bar. Will the mother give money? Mother will not give money. Now, if the son says, hey, what kind of mother you are? I don't have faith in you. You are not giving me money. You are earning so much money, but I am asking money, you are not giving. What kind of mother are you? Is the mother right or the child right? The child is not able to see what the mother is able to see. But the mother is on purpose not giving money for the well being of the child. Right? Makes sense? It's a very practical example. Likewise, whatever we desire is like that child, and Krishna is like that mother. Not every desire is fulfilled by the Lord because not every desire is pure. Krishna selectively fulfills those desires that can take us close to Him. If a desire is going to take you away from Krishna, Krishna puts a block. I will not do it. How much ever you complain, I'm not going to do it because He is like that mother. He doesn't want His child or his daughter to go away from Him. Just like the mother may not give money so that if he starts intoxicating, he's going to go off track. Mother is a well-wisher. The child cannot see this, but the mother is a well-wisher. Likewise, on purpose, Krishna may put a block. I'm not going to give you. Whatever you crave, I'm not going to give you. And things don't work according to our plan. He is like that mother. Krishna Pita, Krishna Mata, Krishna Bhana Pran, Krishna Samsara Koro Chade Anachar, Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. Krishna is like that father. Krishna is like that mother. A parent can never think bad for the child. Never. Never. Unless until he's Hiranyakashipu. It doesn't happen. Kitna bhi kuch bhi kyun na ho, a parent will never think bad. The child cannot see the future, but parent will never think bad. Likewise, Krishna can never think bad because we belong to Him. We are His children. How can He think bad for us? So we are not able to see that thing which He is able to see. Just like the mother is able to see that thing that the child is not able to see. But doesn't mean the mother is wrong. Likewise, doesn't mean Krishna is wrong. We are not in a position to see the future, but we just trust. We hold on to the process. Whatever Krishna is given, we just hold on. And eventually, we will say 10, 12, 15 years down the line, we will realize that in hindsight, the reason why Krishna did, now it will make sense. 10 साल पहले शायद पता नहीं था, but now that we see, अच्छा हुआ, good that that thing happened, right? We cannot see it, but 10 years down the line, right now the jigsaw puzzle is all scattered here and there, and we try to put our own jigsaw puzzle. It may not work out, but 10 years down the line, when Krishna, like the master plan, when he puts everything together, now it makes sense. Whatever he did was correct. He did it for my good. So we just trust him. Like the mother, less like the child, he may be wrong, but the mother is always right. Likewise, we may be wrong in our desires. And Krishna is selectively fulfilling those desires that can take us towards Krishna. Make sense? Hare Krishna. ठीक है? गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
The part 2 will be tomorrow. And part 2 will be tomorrow at temple, 11 o'clock. Please come. And after the Prabhu is going to go back to Seattle. And then let's take full advantage of his visit. So, Sri Ram.